TK421, wire 2 at your post. TK421, do you copy?
We now join a live stream in progress. Alright everybody, I got something to show you here. First I'm going to go into a custom match here. We'll go into some domination, check out Shenzhen at night, and off we go. I really like this map, it looks really awesome, and I really think that... Oh shoot, nuts. Looks like my game crashed. Well, this is the first lesson that I would like to teach you in live streaming, and that's don't use your display to record from. Yeah, it sounds like a good idea, and it's good for actually recording stuff that you're going to edit and put up later, because if your game does crash, you can actually just, trim off the section that crashed or whatever. But yeah, really don't want to use your display as a source for recording from for live stream, just because you might have sensitive information on your desktop that you don't want people to see, such as, well, your name or possibly documents or something like that of a sensitive nature, who knows. But 1 second here while I grab my recorder here, and there we go. And this is what I use for recording all of my game footage. It's actually a good shot at what infinity looks like too, if you actually think about it. But yeah, I use OBS, that's Open Broadcast Studio, and it's a completely free program for anybody to use for any purpose, as far as I can tell, because it's open source. You just got to go to their site and download it. I might toss a link in the description here if I remember. But yeah, like I said, it's what I use for recording all of my footage and stuff, and it's actually pretty much an entire television studio in software form. It allows you to do all sorts of wonderful things. But what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going through and setting it up for both recording and live streaming. And to do that, we go into the settings here, and you'll notice over here there's a whole bunch of stuff to worry about and whatnot, but you don't actually have to worry about a lot of that. Basically, with your audio, you just set it up to whatever your default audio is or whatever. It's fairly simple and straightforward. Set up your microphone to wherever your microphone is. I don't really need to go through that, but your video settings here is what you're going to be interested in. This is what controls your resolution for your output and whatnot, and you want to start with the base canvas resolution. And what that is you want that set to the same resolution as your desktop. It might already be, but if it isn't, all you got to do is just right click your desktop and go to display settings and scroll down to the resolution to find out the resolution. But yeah, you just set it to the same as your desktop resolution and you should be good. And then for your output scaled resolution, you only have to worry about lowering that. If you're wanting to, say, upload stuff in only 720p, you can then change the output scaled resolution to 720p resolutions, and it'll just, automatically, output in that format. But for our purposes, we're going to be using the same resolution as our base canvas, because that is pretty much good for anything then. Yeah, most people want to, try and stream in the highest quality they can, but yeah, depending on your machine, you might want to downscale a bit or something. But the nice part is if you keep your base canvas the same as your monitor resolution and then downscale from there, you'll actually retain all of the video quality that you had in the higher resolution in the lower resolution. Just a quick tip for those that are video recording and editing. And if you do downscale, you can set your downscale filter to a bunch of different settings. I just have it set to this because I think that's what it was set to or whatever. It seems fine to me. And then you've got a common FPS value, which is your frames per second, and you want to set that to 60 so that you're recording at a solid 60 frames per second. I can't actually change any of these right now because I'm currently recording, and if I did, it would probably mess with some things pretty badly, so I'm not going to even bother. In fact, they're grayed out, so I can't even do that, which is good. And then you want to come over to your output here, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set up your recorder up here where it says output mode. It'll be on simple. You'll want to change that to advanced for this, and you'll want to leave it there because if you switch it back, it'll switch to other settings and you'll have to go through this process again. But yeah, anyway. What you want to do is you want to set your encoder to an H.264 encoder. What that stands for is a hardware 264 encoder, which will work pretty much the same as an X264 encoder, which is software based. But it'll use your video card, I believe, to render everything and record it and whatnot, instead of your CPU, which will decrease your CPU overhead, which will allow for smoother gaming and recording and whatnot. Plus, it actually records a lot faster and a lot better quality too if you use a hardware accelerator. And you don't need to worry about rescale output. In fact, if you use this one at all for rescaling your output, you actually take a huge hit on performance. So I recommend you just don't use this at all. And if you do need to switch to a lower resolution, just scale down your resolution here. It'll be a lot simpler and a lot easier, and it will work a lot better, and you'll have a lot more processing power to work with. And then there's various presets here, but we're not going to worry about that because we're doing everything manually here, and we're going to set our quality to whatever your computer happens to be. If your computer happens to be a low-end computer, I would use speed-based. If it happens to be a mid-ranged computer, I would use balanced. And if it happens to be, a high-end PC like the one that I have here, I would recommend quality settings. The difference is quality. You'll get a lot crisper, cleaner images the higher quality settings you use, and yeah, the only problem is that the file sizes take up a lot more space. So yeah, you don't want to do that unless you have a lot of hard drive space like I do. And then for a rate control method, I use a constant bit rate. You can use variable bit rate and variable bit rate latency constraint, but these two are kind of garbage to use, and I wouldn't use those except in an emergency. Constant bitrate will allow you to get high quality to near lossless, and constant QP will get you close to near lossless to lossless. I use the constant bitrate because it does allow for a lot smaller file sizes while still retaining like huge percentage of the quality that's available. And then you just disable the pre-pass mode, and the target bit rate, you're going to want to set that to about half of whatever your upload bandwidth is. So if you've got, say, 10 megabyte per second upload speeds, you're going to want to set it to 5 megabytes, which is 5,000 kilobits per second. This is all in kilobits per second here. Just as a reference, I've got 100 megabyte per second upload speed, so I've got my target bit rate set to 51,000 kilobits per second, which is 51 megabytes per second, or just over half of my upload bandwidth. And what that'll do is that'll allow for a good solid video signal for YouTube or whatever to pick up on. YouTube says they only require 9,500, so you can go down as low as that if you need to, but well, for overall quality and signal strength, I like to keep it nice and high, even though it's a bit of a waste of bandwidth. But I don't care. I don't pay for bandwidth. Well, I do because I pay for internet, but I've got 100 megabytes per second, so it doesn't matter. And I've got no upload, at least as far as I know. Anyway, limit that is. Anyway. Yeah, back to the setup. Sorry, I get sidetracked from time to time here. you're going to want to enable filler data here, because what that does is that will reduce the blocking that happens when recording. I'm not sure if you've noticed in some people's recordings, there's a bit of blocking and stuff like that. Well, this will remove all of that blocking. It'll look nice and crisp and clean with no caffeine. And then for a keyframe interval, you're going to want to set it for about 2 seconds, because well, that's pretty much what YouTube recommends. It's just a lot easier for editing, and what a keyframe is every 2 seconds, your video recorder will take a complete snapshot of the game window that you're recording, even if it's minimized and not actually on your display. And in between each keyframe, it just records all of the changes that happen in between the 2 frames to basically record. So that's why you set it for 2 seconds, because it's a nice even number and pretty much what YouTube recommends. And it does keep down the file sizes a little bit. If you increase the keyframe interval, you get smaller file sizes, but if you decrease the keyframe interval, you'll increase your file sizes by quite a bit, and you don't want that. So yeah, just keep it at around 2 and you should be good, and that should be everything that you need to know for setting up your streaming settings. And if we head over to the recording settings, you can pretty much set up everything just like that, except for your target bit rate. You can actually increase that by quite a bit because you're only recording, not streaming. And I actually have my target bit rate for recording set at 100,000 kilobits per second, which seems like it might be a lot, but it's actually not. It's actually the lowest setting that I can use without causing well, video recorder overload and stuff like that in recording and whatnot. But yeah, that's only because I record in 3840 by 2160 resolution, and yeah, those take up quite a bit of file size. I think my average file size for a 10-minute match is anywhere from 6 to 8 gigabytes. I've even uploaded completely finished files that were about 14 to 17 gigabytes big for about a 20 to 30 minute video. So yeah, 4K does take up a lot of space, but if most of you are using 1080p, you can get away with 50,000 or less for recording target bit rate. And same as if you're streaming too. If you're streaming, you can get away with a lot lower bit rate. You can probably easily get away with at least, maybe 8 megabytes per second upload speeds for 1080p. That's probably pushing it a little bit. I'd go for maybe 12 to 13 megabytes, maybe 15 megabytes per second if you can for 1080p, but yeah, normally around 9,500 for 1080p will be good too. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And just for reference, the audio bit rate, I usually set that to 320. If it's set too low, you get what I describe as the underwater effect. And I just set my microphone to the same just so that it picks up all of the nuances or whatever. Just makes it sound a lot better. But yeah, that's pretty much all of the settings that I'm going to go through for how to set up everything for recording and streaming. As for actual stream and hooking it up to YouTube, that's up to you to do. I'm not going to take you through that because, well, that requires me to display personal information that I don't want to. So, that being said, I will cut that there, and I will take you to how to properly set up a OBS for recording or streaming so that you don't accidentally catch your desktop if you don't want to. And to do that, we open up the little addition thing here by clicking on the plus, and we go down to Game Capture, or you can use Window Capture too. Game Capture works a little bit better, I find, than Window Capture, but some of you might need to use Window Capture for some of your games. And what we're going to do is we're going to change this to capture a specific window, and we're going to change this so that the window title must match. And I don't have it running, so 1 second here. I just gotta start up War Robots again. And let's just go through that again here. We'll go to the properties and yeah, basically just capture specific window and click on your War Robot Steam or Game Center, I believe, will also be there. And then just click on OK. And then you've got everything here. I'll just close this down a little bit here so that we can get back to seeing everything here. And yeah, basically by using the game capture, if your game crashes, all that will happen is it will continue to record a completely blank screen. It won't show your desktop or anything else. It possibly won't even show a cursor. But yeah, it's definitely a lot better than recording your display for streaming or for even recording game footage. With game footage that you're recording, it's not so bad because you can always just chop out that part or whatever, but for live streaming it's actually really not recommended to capture your display. But that being said, I think that yeah, that pretty much does it for the video here. Yeah, if you got any questions or anything, just leave them in the comments section or whatever, and I'll try and get back to you on them. But yeah, that being said, I think that I will yeah, just duck on out. So stay safe, have fun, and happy hunting.